Hello, here we are for this month's edition of the Real Estate Clock, looking at what time it is in our market. But before we get to what happened last month and the stats and where things seem to be going, I just want to do a public service announcement. I don't know if you've been following what the media has been covering recently. The Globe and Mail just did a great article on this. Basically, condos are on sale, and this is epic proportions of sale. All properties are for sale at great prices, but condos, it's just reached a new level. The key thing that's happening right now is that there are a lot of developers who have either gone bankrupt or, more importantly for our purposes, have extra inventory they have to get rid of. At the same time, there are buyers who are completing on pre-sales in those projects. So if the developers lower the price too much, the buyers trying to get financing to now complete 2 years after they bought are not going to be able to get that financing. So the developers are not stupid. They've come up with some interesting tactics. The first one is that some developers are selling at condos at the very low prices that they need to sell them at to get rid of them, but they're making the buyers sign a non-disclosure agreement. So what that means is the developer has the sale price here, they end up selling down here. The buyers agree not to disclose the price that they got so that people don't know how low the prices are selling. That's important so that when an appraiser from the bank goes to appraise a buyer's property that bought 2 years ago, they are not going to be seeing the very low prices that might be happening right now. The second thing that the developers are doing is they're offering decorating bonuses. So instead of taking a price of $1 million on a condo and lowering it down to $900,000, they are still selling it at $1 million. So $1 million will show up on paper and the buyer will pay tax on that $1 million, but they will get, say, a $100,000 decorating bonus. So that will be credited back to the buyer. They don't actually have to use it for decorating, but it'll be credited back to the buyer when the buyer completes on the property. So they've basically saved $100,000, even though that doesn't show up on the transfer when in the land title office. So this means buyers are getting incredible deals on properties that haven't sold, that developers have in inventory of their new properties that had originally been listed pre-sale. So those are good opportunities for the buyers. That is also pushing down the used inventory prices because, of course, those sellers have to compete. So it's terrible for people selling used condos, but buyers are getting deals everywhere on condos now. Some of the prices are actually unbelievable, and places that aren't selling, even at these great prices, some of them I'm shocked to see what's happening with that. So that's happening. On detached homes, some of the analysts are now saying we've probably hit the bottom. So again, if you're looking for a detached home, you might not want to wait too long. I always say if you find what you like, you buy it anyway. You don't worry about what's happening in the market, whether it's going up, down, sideways. But if you're eyeing something right now, I wouldn't be thinking it's going to go down much further, if at all, if you're looking at a detached home. Okay, so now we go back to the real estate clock. What's happening in our market? I don't know if you've been following the stats over spring, but we've had a very, very, very slow spring. Spring is usually a very busy time. We usually see lots of sales. That has not happened this spring. In fact, in the last 21 years I've been doing this, I have never had such a slow spring, and I've talked to a lot of others who are in the same situation. Not very much selling all through the spring so far. Having said that, June we saw an unexpected uptick in sales. So we saw more sales in June than we would have expected, because usually you have February, March, April, May are busy. June starts to slow down as kids are getting out of school. July slows down more, and August is completely dead. So that's what normally happens. Normally we say to people, look, we should take your house off in the summer because it's just going to rack up days on the market and it's not likely to sell. This year, we're going to be recommending the opposite, because I'm hoping that what happened in June will continue into July and August, and our sellers will see some sales. It looks like now the buyers have started to, sorry, I'm just getting the wind effect out of my hair. Some buyers have started to realize that they should get off the fence and take advantage of the fact that rates are really good right now, and there's still tons of inventory for buyers. No pressure, although we are starting to see in the detached homes, we are starting to see some multiple offers. So again, that's another indication that we might have gotten down to the bottom of prices on detached homes, and they are down quite a bit, particularly in higher priced properties, and in different pockets you can see quite a variation. So Andrew Lee, who's the chief economist from the Greater Vancouver Realtors, said June saw a pattern of broad gains in home sales across all home types, which has been a rare occurrence in recent years. And that's true, that doesn't normally happen. So let's see what happens in July and August. So looking at what actually happened in June, sales of all properties were up 9.6% compared to June last year. So that's pretty significant. But they were still below the 10-year average by 12.4. So we're still not back to where we would expect to be over a 10-year period, but we did have a pretty good uptick. Interestingly, detached homes, the sales volume, so the number of detached homes sold, was up 13.7% compared to June 2025. Prices were down 7.1% compared to June 2025. So just in the past year, the benchmark price is down 7.1%. It's down a lot more than that in the past year on certain types of properties, as again, more expensive ones in particular. So they're down 7.1% since last June and down a lot more than that since our peak in 2022, 2023. So what does this all mean? For buyers, you still have excellent opportunities, both in detached homes, at least for now, and definitely in condos. So if you're thinking of buying and sitting on the fence, personally, I wouldn't. And I know, I always say, my smartest buyers are buying now, right? The ones that have really analyzed everything and are thinking with facts, not with emotion. Don't worry about planning the bottom because you will miss it and then you will be sad. Okay. And yeah, so again, some people are saying we're at the bottom for detached, and the fact that we're seeing multiple offers suggests that's true. And with condos, I think they're still going to go down a bit, but if you find something great, some of them are going to be at amazingly low prices right now. So it's always worth looking at. We can chat and see what we think we could get a condo for and then go from there. For sellers, unfortunately, the market's still not great, although again, with detached homes, we're hoping it's going to pick up going forward. Right now, though, if your house is sitting, it's probably priced too high, unfortunately. We're finding, though, even when we think we've chosen the right price, we know that if buyers aren't biting, we're still too high for this market, and maybe it's gone down more than we think. So market's shifting, timing does matter. Don't sit around. If you find what you want, buy it. If you need advice or want to discuss strategies or look at what we're expecting and what we've seen happen, I'm happy to discuss real estate anytime. Thanks for watching.